It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah. I said,
Happy Friday. Nice to be with all of you as we get set for high school week number 2. And Glenn Rogers will join us at 10:25 today. And college football begins. Vanderbilt and Hawaii. The line in that game is it 7.5?
It's going up to 8. Maybe you'll even get up to 9. But if you made a heady play like me, I got it 6.5 a couple weeks ago.
You're a winner. I would take it at 10. Especially after we heard yesterday from Ron Higgins, that Hawaii's team, most of them have quit. I thought they might have come back when Tommy Chang was announced as the coach, the former legend quarterback there, who I think, is he still number 1 all-time in passing yardage in college football?
No, I know Case Keenum passed him, but I think somebody else passed him as well.
So he's 3?
I'll
Go
check.
Go double check that. Stewart Tour Championship yesterday. Switching gears here real quick. Scotty Scheffler started with a 2-stroke lead. Patrick Cantlay went in the tank. He needed an eagle on 18 just to get to even par. Most guys were shooting in the mid-60s. Scheffler did shoot in the mid-60s. He's got a 5-stroke lead. Are we handing him the championship right now? He's not going to blow a 5-stroke lead. It has happened before. We saw Greg Norman choke a 6-stroke lead on the last day at Augusta National. Now, this is the first day, 5-stroke lead. Most of the time, that holds up.
Especially when it's a guy like that that's playing so well. But it is only Thursday. You don't win tournaments on Thursday. Also, Case Keenum is number 1, Tommy Chang number 2.
So he's 2. Okay. He is 2. All right. Apparently, they had to call an arbitrator in here earlier. There was a heated discussion. I could feel the heat when I walked into this room. Eli and Greg in discussions over ALO. Look, here's the most basic question of all that you ask. Is this Memphis basketball team a better team with ALO, or are they worse? Come on. It's simple. Give me the answer, J-Mo.
They're better, for sure.
Of course they're better. First of all, they're better because of his defense. That's another thing that really kind of bugs me. You know, people never count special teams in football. Memphis would have won 2 more games with a kicker last year. They never count special teams. And in hoops, they always talk about this guy can shoot, this guy can go to the hole, this guy can dunk. They will talk a little bit about blocks on occasion because they're sexy.
That's the only way we judge defense is how you block shots.
Which is stupid.
It is.
Do you know, for instance, they have a thing, the defensive player rating. It's called the DPR. Do you know what goes into that?
It's like the same as the offense, so like it's points, all these different attributes.
I'm asking you because you're more of an analytics guy than me. I really don't know, but I know it's supposed to be pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thought put in there. I guess there must be positioning and help out defense, and steals go into it, and turnovers forced, I guess. Or I'm really not sure, but I know it's supposed to be accurate, and it's called DPR. It's your defensive player rating. They rate everybody in the NCAA. Do you know last year what Alex Lomax's national DPR was?
I don't. It had to be pretty well compared to others, though. Pretty good.
37th in the country.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
So
Top 50.
So let's go to that side of the floor, okay? We go to that side of the floor, 37th in the country. That's got to be helpful. Now, here's the one thing I could see if anybody is questioning about ALO coming back, and in the back of my mind, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think Alo's coming back also to maybe learn to be a coach. Unless he wants to go overseas and be a player, I think he'd be the kind of a guy who'd be a good coach. Just the way he discusses things and analyzes things that I've seen him do in the past. But the key here for him to truly make this a better team is to accept his role. And apparently, he has got a pretty good relationship with Kendrick Davis. So that's a good start. But he's got to understand, because he played a lot of minutes last year. He's not going to get those minutes. I think he will play on the floor at times with Davis. Davis is a heck of a shooter. You set him up. But, Davis can only play 28, 30 minutes a game, right? I don't think you want to play a guy longer than that. And so he's got to come in and play some backup minutes. The key is, will he accept being a backup and not a starter on this team?
Could they? You mentioned they play alongside. Could they play alongside just theoretically? Who would be the starting two if it wouldn't be those two together? Well, I guess that's that's really small though.
What is Keontae Johnson? Not Keontae Johnson. Keontae Kennedy. Isn't he the two? Now your three was going to be Acott, but that we know is out the window. The one liability you would have if you had both those guys in your starting lineup is, first of all, Davis really is a point guard, and certainly Alo is not a two guard, and you would be really small in the backcourt, and that is really not the philosophy that Penny wanted to have. That's why Acott was such a great player at 2 or 3, because he was 6'8", or is 6'8". Still don't understand what happened there. That's just the craziest thing. The guy was on campus, enrolled in school, and he goes over NIL money, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can really and truly positively take out of that. So, anyway, bottom line is, Alo makes you a better team. There's no argument against it, and if you're really looking for ammo, go to the defensive side of the ball. And know that Kendrick Davis can't play all the minutes. It's the acceptance of being a backup that Alo must have if he's truly to be of great benefit.
Especially when you just lost, not to say that that Alex Lomax is as good as Acott, but you just lost a guy that not only brought his ability, but five years of college basketball playing experience.
True.
And you get that back with Alex Lomax.
And who knows his system better? Penny's system
That's
better.
right.
He did it in high school. He did it in AAU. No one knows Penny's system better as a player than Alo. Now, is it coincidence that Alo did make it official that he was coming back after Acott left?
It can't be, though. That's so different positions. I can't imagine that one would affect another in that regard.
Maybe there's just minutes involved.
Maybe so.
And again, I'm going to go back. The other key to this whole thing, in my mind, is Jonathan Lawson. Jonathan Lawson is a 4-star guy. That's the same kind of star Acott got. He is a versatile, athletic guy, probably more athletic than Acott. Certainly doesn't have the experience of Acott. But if he can live up to the promise, and remember, there were plenty of people that were saying he was the best of the Lawson guys. If he's better than Dietrich, I'll be knocked off my seat. But if he's anywhere near as good, if he's better than KJ, and KJ was a pretty good college player. Played okay for Memphis, played really good at Tulane. Didn't play so good at Kansas. But and don't forget, there is Chandler, who's got some versatility too, and we didn't see really what Chandler could do last year, because in New York or in Brooklyn, in that second or third game of the year, the guy got hurt and he never was healthy. So it'll be interesting to see. Look, I'm not saying that the loss of Acott didn't hurt. It did, and you can't replace that now. It's too late. But having Alo back and getting anything out of either of the Lawsons, especially Jonathan, you can be okay. You can be Okay, and that's what you're going to have to live with, unless Penny's got some other move up his sleeve that I don't know about. Tomorrow night, last scrimmage for the U of M football team. Obviously, a week from tomorrow, Starkville, Mississippi, Cowbells, Bulldogs, Air Raid, Mike Leach, Will Rogers, the whole crew. Going to be fun. So you'll get a little peek. Some special invites are going to get to see that package tomorrow. Here's two things that I think are critical. This team was a 500 team last year, did go to a bowl game, and unfortunately didn't get to play the bowl game, but got a nice vacation out of it in Hawaii. I mentioned this already. Special teams. In my mind, no one values special teams enough. They're a third of the game. Memphis lost 2 games last year because they didn't have an effective kicker. Now, somebody's going to make the argument to me they won 1 game with special teams because it was the Mississippi State game with the Calvin Austin genius of picking up that ball. Was it whistled dead? Who knows?
It wasn't real special teams, though. It wasn't like punting, covering the punts.
It was.
Well, I guess it technically was.
It was covering the punts.
It technically was covering the punt.
That was just sheer genius on the kid's part. But so many games were effective. Now Memphis had a good punter, but he was not a good kicker. Now you got 2 guys vying for that kicking position, and it looks like the transfer from Florida, according to Ryan Silverfield, is the guy in the driver's seat at this moment. So I think that'll be better. Here's the other thing that's got to be better. And if it is, Memphis is going to get the 8 wins or 9 wins that most people are predicting. And in Vegas, it's 7.5, right? So I'd take the over. I would. And we're going to make our picks on every game of every SEC team and of Memphis. And, J-Mo, I'm just telling you, I know how you are. You've got to make a match. You can't have Arkansas winning 1 game in one thing and losing it in the other. They got to be all 100% correct.
It'd be something if everybody was 12-0.
Well, if you look at these predictions, they go best case. Who's Blake Topmeyer who's doing this, or somebody that's doing it in the commercial appeal? The best case scenario, worst case scenario in the predictions, and like everybody's 10-2.
It's a heck of a season.
The way this is going, I wonder if they're matching it all up. The last thing on what Memphis has to have, they have to be better with turnover ratio. Last year, Ryan Silverfield complained all year long that Mac's defense didn't cause enough turnovers. And he complained all year long that his offense didn't have enough ball security. And Brandon Thomas kind of lost his job. Injury, but some of that, I think, initially was they lost faith in him securing the ball. He had, 3 fumbles in the first few games after leading the country in rushing yards. So they got to do a better job of ball security. That has been one of the key elements or key learning points in preseason practice here. And the other is the defense has to cause more turnovers. It seems to me with the personnel they got that is very feasible. So special teams, particularly in the kicking game, has to be improved, and I think it will be. Turnover ratio has to be better, and I think it will be. And if they are, I think this will be a successful year. And you do have there's 3 teams that would worry me that are above Memphis in preseason rankings. Cincy, the defending champions. Memphis doesn't play them unless they were to play them in a championship game. UCF and Houston. Both those games are at home. The last game, SMU, could be a critical game. That one's on the road. And many people have SMU above Memphis. And now with all the NIL money that they got, although I don't know if that's going to help them as much this year as it might in the future, but that will be fun to watch. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to talk about the summer clearance sale because I bet Lindsay and Billy and all the crew that's over at I-40 and Wooden Road at Family Leisure are cooking up something that will knock your socks off for the fall. But I will tell you, I don't think you're going to beat $2,000 off an above-ground swimming pool. And with do-it-yourself specials like a free ladder upgrade, a whole season worth of chemicals. You know how much chemicals are? They've tripled since I got a swimming pool. When I bought my house 19 years ago, I would bet you chlorine has at least tripled, maybe quadrupled. It's crazy. You'll get a season worth of chemicals if you go right now at the summer clearance sale at Family Leisure. Don't forget, up to 30% off right now in stock patio sets. State of the art. You'll love the stuff. I promise you. Just get there. I-40 and Wooden Road, Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. And right now, the summer clearance sale is winding down. You know, our title sponsor, well, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, right at the corner of Craft Road, first exit Mississippi, and Highway 78. That's Lamar in Memphis. Zach Boyd, our producer extraordinaire. Zach Boyd went there yesterday. They took care of him. He just got an oil change, but he was treated like a king. They do that at Homer Skelton Hyundai. They take care of you. That's why there is so much customer retention. And part of that is when I say they take care of you, they're not going to exploit the laws of supply and demand. A lot of dealerships are now. You could pay $7,000 or over sticker price. You never pay more than sticker price at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Okay. When you walk into the Simmons Bank Liberty Bowl Stadium, you will see a new ticket scanning pedestal, new equipment. Okay? This is now you're not going to get to it because Memphis goes to Starkville. Well, you could go there for the Southern Heritage Classic. Second, I guess that would be September 10th. 17th, you'll see it if you're going to a Memphis game. So new ticket scanning pedestals, high-definition televisions in all the suites, brand new TVs, new paint on the parking spaces. They have power washed the entire concourse level. There is new turf with the new high-tech that mimics grass, which supposedly, and I hope this is the case, cuts down on injuries.
So no more of the black specks popping up. You know how like the old
Right.
turf would have the black specks popping up?
Right. Less of that.
That's great.
So all that, how much do you think that cost?
Over $1 million. I can't imagine.
$2 million.
$2 million.
$2 million. $2 million for that. And that has nothing to do, by the way, with the $150 to $200 million they're going to spend on totally redoing Liberty Bank, Simmons Liberty Bank, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Man,
So
we'll get used to it.
So this is just the first step in all of these renovations, is just fixing it up as it is currently constructed then.
No. This is already done. This
Right.
is what you'll see when you walk in this year. By the way, new food items at a thing called the Grab and Go Station. Some sort of a seltzer drink, which I wasn't familiar with. These are all the new things you'll see at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I'm just amazed that little like power washing new turf that usually costs $300,000 or $400,000, right? Isn't that what they cost about these days?
Has to.
Yeah, sure. But at $2 million for that? Of course, new TVs.
Makes you want to be a patron instead of announcing the games.
No, it doesn't. I love announcing the games, and I can go to other games and imbibe and
Be a patron.
be a patron.
Southern Heritage Classic.
Yeah. Back to hoops for just a second. In the way too early bracketology, not from Lenardi. This comes from a guest of this station's on a regular basis with Greg and Eli, Jerry Palm. He has picked the 4 number 1 seeds. I'll give you them in order because you know they seed all 68, right? Who do you think is the overall number 1 seed for college basketball for this coming year?
Gonzaga.
Bingo. Very good. Who's number 2?
Villanova?
No, not even a 1 seed.
I have no idea. I can't even venture a guess, to be honest.
Houston.
Really?
He's got Houston as the number 2 seed, North Carolina as the number 3 seed, and Kentucky as the number 4 seed, the final number 1 seed. Memphis, by the way, is a 9 seed. They would play Michigan in the very first game. If they beat Michigan, they're in line because they're in the South region with the number 1 seed in the South region. That would be Kentucky. Michigan to Kentucky. Now, this is not going to hold up because I predict Memphis will be better than a 9 seed. In fact, I predict Memphis will be no worse than a 4 seed. That's what I'm saying right now. I would have felt better if ACOT had stayed.
I was about to say, yeah.
But I do believe that is the case. And one last story. I have no idea because who knows? We'll find out because it's all going to end up in court, I guess. George Foreman. There are allegations against George Foreman of sexual assault from 2 women back in the 1970s. Those 2 women are now in their 60s. By the way, I looked this up. George Foreman, because, it's not just all the money he made from doing, boxing purses and being a champion and broadcasting, because he was a heck of a broadcaster and a character, right? He also did the Foreman Grill. That made him a lot of money. You have any idea, J-Mo, because this may blow your mind, how much George Foreman is worth?
I don't know how he made over $3 million with the grill, didn't he? He made a ton of money with the grill.
Made a lot more than that.
Oh, really?
He's worth $138 million.
It's great investment, that grill.
So they are claiming, these 2 women who were daughters of associates on his staff, that he used as a boxer. So I don't know what their roles were, but he was in their camps and the trainers. I really don't know what they were. But these 2 women say that when they were under the age of 10, he was grooming them, and then in their teens, he sexually abused them. He says it's all a bunch of baloney. They've been trying to extort money out of him for months. So it'll all come out in the wash. But the persona of George Foreman, as a boxer, he was a surly dude. There was no question. Nobody really liked him. They loved Ali. He was the bad guy. He was the heel. But as an older guy, when he, in his 40s, became champion again, he was beloved. And then that figure as a broadcaster in the George Foreman Grill. I mean, he was beloved. So it's hard for me to believe all this. But I guess we'll find out as it all unfolds. Those are the news of the day. We'll take a break. When we come back, we are into high school football week 2, and a very happy Glenn Rogers Jr. the way his MUS Owls played last week. He will join us. We've got so many good games this week. We'll break them down in just a minute. This portion of the show is brought to you by the good folks at Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and let's not forget about the tune-up, because that's what they're known for. That tune-up that makes your system efficient, that saves you money on your MLGW bill, and if you're efficient on a regular basis, your system will last a lot longer. 15, 20 years, a lot longer than if you don't take care of it. And that maintenance tune-up is only $69, 16 points in time. And they take care of it inside. And then they check your Freon, and then they go outside, and they get all the dirt and grime and leaves out, and they put a Teflon coating now on your blades so that you're protected from the hot summer sun. Keep your system efficient. Call 384-3511, Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And if you're looking for a great golf game this week, just look about 12 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. Look to see my guys at Miramichi, and you will thank me later. This beautiful, beautiful place. Challenging and beautiful. 7,400 yards of championship golf. You can play down in the 5,000s if you want. And 330 acres of beauty. The back 9 is stunning. It's like a walk in the park with a meandering stream. You'll love it. After the round is over, check out the terrace. Look outside. You'll see lush golf course. You'll see a beautiful pond, a fountain. You'll see a great expanse of the sky. It's the best view in Shelby County. It's the whole schmear. It's the great golf experience if you go to Miramichi and every round includes range balls, a cart, and the ability to practice, and they get the best practice facilities around. Miramichi, you will love it. You're going to love what Glenn Rogers has to say. He comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Gabe?
Okay, here's the idea.
Well, let's just jump right in.
A Central Barbecue race.
What are you talking about?
We race to see which one of us can go to each of the 4 Central Barbecue locations and eat at each one faster.
You mean eat all 4 in one day?
As fast as you can.
Does everything have to be a competition with you?
Life is a competition, my friend, and this way we get to compete and eat.
That seems like a lot of food.
Do you want to be a winner or not?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Well, you're not going to be. There can only be one winner of the Great Central Barbecue Race, and that's going to be me.
The Great Central Barbecue Race, so you've already named it.
Named it? I've already printed posters.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. We're going to chat with Glenn Rogers Jr. You know, he was a terrific player at the U of M. There's another U of M alum that loves his Tigers, and he is just as good in his field as Glenn was in his. And that is insurance, the Eflin Insurance Team. Loves the Tigers so much, he puts it in his phone number, 901-386-GRR. That's 4777. 901-386-4777. Call that number for Matt or any of his team, and they got a bunch of great guys. Andrew, Heath, Grant. They're all there to help you, protect you the right way, and they get to know you. It's collaborative. They find out about your family. They find out about what is important to protect. They find out what your budget is, and then they protect you in home, in auto, in life insurance. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, they're terrific with commercial insurance. I promise you, they'll get to know your product. They'll forecast you out. They'll find out what's important to protect. They'll find out your budget. And then they match everything up and protect you. Again, that number, 901-386-GRR, 4777, the Eflin Insurance Team. Nice win for MUS in a dominating way last week. You got a tough game, though, Coach. Tonight at MUS, you've got Germantown coming in, and that Germantown team is fresh off a victory over Christian Brothers, so we know they're pretty good.
Yeah, good morning, Dave, all our listeners. And I'll tell you, Dave, last Saturday, the Christian Brothers Germantown game was one of the probably one of the best high school games I've seen in a while. The atmosphere was electric. There's a lot of people there. Christian Brothers jumped out on them 20-0, and then Germantown got a field goal, and then they came storming back the second half, led by their sophomore, Jamarion Morrow. When I tell you, Dave, this kid is a game changer as a sophomore. He can play receiver. He returns. He can go in the backfield. And Eugene's got Gene has a big offensive line, and he's got 3 good running backs. So he brings Morrow in as a running back. And I tell you, Dave, this kid he's electric. He's a game changer. So we do have our hands full tonight.
They say that tomorrow is tomorrow. He's that good. He's so.
I'll tell you, I agree with you. We really got our hands full defensively.
There's a couple of jaws in town that are obviously really good. Another great game, Briarcrest at Houston this week. That one I think is a toss-up game.
Yeah, and I mean, we scrimmaged Houston. They really got after us in our scrimmage. A lot of speed. They got a running back that's very agile and quick. I hadn't seen Briarcrest, but last year, they beat us. Their quarterback is excellent. He can throw. He can run. And then, everything starts with the big fella. They got a young man that's got all these offers all over the place. I think maybe he's committed to somewhere. I don't know what school he's committed to, but I tell you, that's going to be a great ball game with Briarcrest and Houston. I think it's at Houston. It's an electric atmosphere out there, and I tell you, a lot of good players going to be on the field tonight. I'll really be interested when we get through playing to see the outcome of that ball game.
It is at Houston. Both teams were big winners last week, and this one I think is absolutely a toss-up. It's a little bit like your game with Germantown. I think that game is a toss-up. Bartlett is a team that picked on a charter school last week. Good one though, but picked on them, and they're playing Hoover, Alabama. If I recall, Hoover used to be great. Some people think though that the Panthers are really, really good. What's going to happen in that game?
And their coach is from Alabama. Tim Jones, the principal over at Bartlett. Their coach is from Bama. The coach's dad was Tim high school coach.
Well, Tim is one of the toughest. Don't forget, he was a quarterback for Memphis and one of the toughest kids in the world. And against Alabama, I think he might have had his jaw broken.
He did. He looked like after that Alabama game day back in '87. Tim looked like he had been in a heavyweight championship fight the way his face looked.
Oh yeah.
But we got that win over Bama 10-6, and Bartlett going down to Hoover. Hoover's always great, one of the top programs in the nation. And I just think they're going down into a hornet's nest. It's a great atmosphere. The stadium sits off in a real nice area. And football in Alabama is big time. And going to Hoover and Vestavia and those schools down there, you better saddle up and get ready because it's going to be a dogfight down there. I promise you.
They made the state semifinals last year in their classification in Alabama. They are about as tradition-rich as you can get. I don't know if they're quite as good as they used to be. You didn't realize that Jeremy Pruitt once was a coach on their staff?
Dave, he was the D coordinator. We went down there every year to play 7-on-7 in July. And I remember just like it was yesterday when Coach Jeremy Pruitt was the D coordinator for Hoover when we was playing 7-on-7 against him. I remember him vividly. I talked to him several times and went down there and played 7-on-7.
All right, let's move to Sheffield. The Christian Brothers pretty much got to win, right? At Christian Brothers, they really need this one. Sheffield's really a pretty good football team. And again, this, I think, will be a close game, but the Brothers really need it, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you talk to Coach McDaniel and his staff, I think they really believe in their heart. They let that game get away last week from Germantown. They, like I said, they had them down 20-0. And so I guarantee you, Coach McDaniel and his staff have been preaching tackling, staying in their gaps, on offense, finishing drives. I guarantee they've been preaching that all week. And so I expect Christian Brothers to rebound. They got 2 really good running backs that complement each other. They got a guy that can hit it up in there and bounce and get to the edge. And then they got another kid that comes in, and he's like thunder. He's like the hammer. He pounds it in there. And they were real, very, very tough physically running the ball against Germantown last week. I think they'll rebound tonight against a good Sheffield team and get a win at home.
Sheffield, by the way, was a winner. They killed Bluff City last week, 33-6. Who's Bluff City?
I never heard of that school, Dave. It may be some school, either a charter school or some school maybe in Arkansas, but I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that team at all.
Okay.
First time ever hearing of them.
Another interesting game, we could call it the Major Right Bowl. Central, one of the better teams, I think, in all the public leagues. And White Station, his former team. White Station lost their opener to Melrose. Maybe Melrose is back. That was close. 19-14. Central, just has become a real powerhouse with Major and his son at quarterback. What happens in this one?
Yeah, the Majors, he got his son Law directing the team, leading the team at quarterback. And, like you said, Majors facing his old team that he coached for and, helped build that program at White Station. And, White Station's got a new staff. One of my Tiger teammates, Jeff Sawyer, is working on the defensive side over there. They really struggle getting kids back out. White Station lost so many kids when they had all these coaching changes and COVID.
And COVID.
The quarterbacks, though, out at Bartlett. So I think Major will win tonight. Major's got a strong program. Another former Tiger, Chris Schutz, is working with his O-line. And Chris does an amazing job. I think Major and them get the win tonight and keep the train marching on and starting off 2-0.
While we're talking public schools, both Mitchell and Melrose were winners. And most people are saying this is a low-scoring, hot defense, hard-hitting game tonight. It's at Melrose. What do you think happens here?
Well, Derek Bobo, who was the D coordinator at Whitehaven, played for Whitehaven, took over Melrose program, very defensive-minded. He'll have those guys flying around. Like you said, they got the win last week, 19-14 versus White Station. I think Melrose wins this ball game in another close one. I think Derek is still getting a feel for his offense and what he wants to do offensively, and then maybe the kids hadn't really totally bought in yet because of his new staff. But I think at Melrose has always been a tough venue. I know Melrose has been down the last few years, but that's always a tough place to go in and get a victory. I'm leaning more toward Melrose tonight and Derek Bobo in that defense stiffening it up and getting the win.
Do they still have all those alums come out? Do they still get the big crowds at Wildcat Stadium?
They haven't, Dave, in a few years. Because Melrose has been down for now at least 6-7 years. So I know last year Cedric Wilson tried to get it back going, and he did. He had a pretty good year. I don't know why he was out or got let go or stepped away. But Derek Bobo is a very up-and-coming young coach, just like Gene Robinson is over at Germantown. So Whitehaven protege, played at Whitehaven, was a real good high school player, played in college. And so he's very defensive-minded, very attention to detail type of guy. And he'll have Melrose back relevant if he continues to revive the area and keep getting kids to stay in the area. And he'll just get mainly his biggest goal is going to be getting kids who are from that area to stay there and play for him.
I hope they get back to that atmosphere. It used to be one of the best. All of Orange Mound would come out. The guys would walk through the crowd. They would ring it around. I mean, they'd be lined up watching on the fence all the way to Park Avenue. It was great, great scene.
One of the best atmospheres in the country, Dave, on a Friday night for high school football. No doubt about that.
All right, last game. It's a neighborhood game. It's in Cordova. And it's St. Benedict. Both St. Benedict and Cordova coming off frustrating losses. Both looking for their first win. Joey Magnifico's looking for his first win as a coach. I'm kind of pulling for the former Tiger tight end. I think everybody says this will be a very close game. Can Joey get his first win? Or will Cordova, which has traditionally been a pretty good program, will they start to rebound? What happens tonight, Glenn Rogers Jr.?
And, Dave, you got two former Tigers. Keith Settler took over Cordova this year. Derek Wembley moved on. He's got a head job in Florida. And so Keith Settler, former Tiger. So you got Joey and Keith Settler, two former Tigers battling out at Cordova. Joey, he should get his first win tonight. I'm pulling for Joey. He's in our league. But I tell you, if he's going to get the win tonight, Dave, he's going into a hostile environment out there at Cordova. We know they always got players out there. When Derek Wembley took over, ever since Cordova's been in existence, that's been a tough place to go in and get a victory. But I think Joey will go in and get a victory tonight because I think he's probably got the better team. Because Keith is a new coach, settling in, trying to get his offense and defense kids to buy in. Anytime you have a coaching change, the biggest job for the new coach is getting the kids to buy in what he's trying to implement offense and defensive-wise. So Joey's been there second year. I think some of the buy-in is starting to happen now. for St. Benedict, and I think Joey get his first win tonight as a head coach, going against another former Tiger, Keith Settler.
There you go. Glenn Rogers said it. Magnifico and St. Benedict get their first win in a couple of years. Glenn, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thank you, Dave, and can't wait to see the college season start up in the pro season. Football is in there, ladies and gentlemen. Go Tigers, go.
It's back. Football is back for sure. If you're thinking of selling your home, sometimes you go to a grocery store, you got so many choices. You don't know which way to go. There's the store's brand, there's the brand name brand, there's another one that's an all. What do you do? Same thing with real estate. How do you know which agent is the best one for you? Well, my guy Sheldon Rosengarten, who I think is the best, will tell you this. Interview 2 or 3. Ask them what they'll do for you. Make sure one of those interviews is the worst golfer in town. That would be my guy Sheldon Rosengarten. He doesn't practice. He doesn't have time. He's working 24/7, 365 with this great strategic marketing program to sell your house for the best price in the quickest amount of time. And you know what his success rate is? It's astronomical. So if you want to learn about that marketing strategy, and if you want to talk to the best agent around, not golfer, the worst golfer maybe in Memphis, please call 483-0546. Call Sheldon or go to MemphisRelocate.com. Move your house the right way. Find out what agents will do for you. Talk to my guy, Sheldon Rosengarten, Marks Bensdorf. In this portion of the show, also brought to you by the doctor. That's Poppy's Pills. The doctor ordered this Pilsner from Grind City. It's local, made right here in Memphis. You can get it in 6-packs. You can get it in 15-packs. It is light. It is crisp. It is refreshing. It's the Pilsner everybody is raving about. It's Poppy's Pills. If you haven't tried it, best enjoyed ice cold, especially after today. If you're playing golf today and you want to sort of refresh yourself after the round as you get ready for dinner, nothing will beat what the doctor ordered. Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner from Grind City Brewing. We take a break. When we come back, we'll talk NBA. We can always talk NBA, right? We'll talk NBA with our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports. That would be Andy Schiffman. He comes your way in just a minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I've got Jeff Allen on the phone over at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, what you got cooking over there, Jeff?
Randy, it's time to get in a new ride from Gossett Kia Mount Moriah. I can put you in a 2023 Kia Seltos LX all-wheel drive SUV 27 combined MPG for that summer vacation for just $245 a month. 36-month lease, $29.99 due at signing. And if you don't see what you want, no problem. We will order exactly what you want. You choose your own bells and whistles.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Service with a smile. And your Kias are always equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
That's a 2023 Kia Seltos LX $245 a month at Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Seltos P 737-1345, MSRP 24610. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/1/22. Dealer stock only.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. It's been a particularly rainy season, and that stain on your ceiling isn't getting any smaller, exposing your family to the possibility of mold. Let me come take a look. 867-0303. Our technicians are Owens Corning Platinum Preferred, so don't let someone tell you that it has to be replaced if all you need is a repair to get several more years of life. 867-0303. Have me on your speed dial for when life's little catastrophes come up. 867-0303. Upgrade your roof to a beautiful Owens Corning Duration Architectural Shingle with a 50-year warranty and an unheard of 25-year labor guarantee. I'll measure your roof from outer space and give you a competitive estimate right over the phone. Buy now and pay nothing till 2022 with approved credit. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Make sure to stop by 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill for the best home-cooked lunches around Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Meatloaf, baked chicken, catfish, and more, along with yummy veggies. Plus a great brunch on weekends from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. They have plenty of TVs to watch sports, and they have live entertainment on the weekends. Join them on Sundays for Left Turn Sunday NASCAR watch parties with beer and food specials. 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill, voted the #1 sports bar in DeSoto County. Getwell Road, South Haven.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It is always NBA time around these parts, that is for sure. Grizzlies fever. We had Pete Prenick on earlier in the week, talk schedule. I think we chatted a little bit about that with Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports last week. But what we didn't talk about was KD. It's always on the docket because KD is, like, always unhappy, always a story. And this week in particular, because it was rumored he might be coming to Memphis. Andy Schiffman, did you ever really believe that?
Sadly, no, Dave. I think that was, well, I know internally, I think that was something that was probably discussed between Brooklyn and between Memphis early on in the KD get me out of Brooklyn saga, and there were probably not there was just no legs to it. The Grizzlies, obviously, I think they've got 5 first-round draft picks in the next few years. They're obviously not moving Ja Morant, and I think Brooklyn understands that. I don't believe they should move Jaren Jackson. You have other pieces that could be coveted by Brooklyn if you're moving a Kevin Durant and looking for young, up-and-coming players that could really be a great core to what you're trying to grow in Brooklyn, like a Dylan Brooks, like a Desmond Bane, obviously. But again, look at the success the Grizzlies have had building this core together. Are they really going to part with that for what could be a short-term rental for Kevin Durant? So I for sure believe there were discussions had early on, but I think that this latest story was some reporter just digging something up, trying to make a slow news day become a little more exciting, just kind of hashing up something from the past. This was not anything recent. Ergo, then you see the very next day, that's when Durant decides, you know what, I'm going to stay in Brooklyn. And it's funny because people around the league and other players that I've talked with were kind of rolling their eyes. Oh, after all this, and you're holding up free agency, and so many teams are holding in a holding pattern because they're waiting to see what happens with KD, now you're deciding just to stay in Brooklyn. Thanks for nothing. And it is a little bit comical that you've got one of the max superstars in the NBA, always, like you said, always kind of being at the focal point of unhappiness or uncertainty with what the direction of the team is going that he's playing for. It's a bit ironic, to say the least, but unfortunately, I don't really think there was much chance that Durant was going to end up a Grizzly.
If the Grizzlies were to make that kind of a deal, because let's face it, if you were able to keep, and as Shams reported it, basically he was saying there was not going to be any movement of not only Triple J, but also of Desmond Bane. What kind of a deal do you think you could really have that would have secured Kevin Durant? I mean, who would you try? I would imagine your guy, Brandon Clark, would have been in that deal. Maybe Tillman, too. Who knows?
Right.
Plus the picks.
Well, semantic-wise, Dave, because Memphis is a team that is operating over the salary cap, Brooklyn, they are not only over the salary cap, but they're in the luxury tax. There are certain rules and mechanisms that these teams can employ to make trades work. But for the sake of this conversation, Durant is a max player making a lot of money.
Right.
Memphis would have to get pretty close to matching that salary. So they really couldn't sit there and say, we'll give you 4 draft picks and Brandon Clark at his current salary, which is on his rookie scale contract, which is a fraction of what Durant's making. What you could do is obviously, you can't even do that. I was going to say, look, we're in the midst of determining whether the Grizzlies will work with us on an extension on Brandon. But again, keep in mind that extension doesn't even kick in. It doesn't kick in this season. It kicks in next season. So it really wouldn't matter, even if they gave Brandon a huge number. It matters what this year's 22-23 salaries are. So, yeah, if you're not moving Jaren, if you're not moving Ja, obviously, if you're not moving some of these higher paid players, you throw a Steven Adams in there, you throw in a lot of young pieces, try to get close to that number, but it would be pretty difficult. So without moving some of those core pieces, it's a head scratcher of how it works. But again, I just don't think it's something the Grizzlies need. Of course, the fan base would get excited about a superstar like that coming to Memphis. I mean, you remember years ago when Iverson suited up for 2 weeks in Memphis when they were horrible and everyone went nuts over that. Now you have a team that is a viable Western Conference championship contender with the Grizzlies if they're all healthy and adding a superstar like Durant. But again, what happens if Durant goes there? Things do not go as planned. Egos get involved. There's not enough shots for Durant or for Morant or Jaren or Desmond. Guys are unhappy. Then he does the same thing next summer. Oh, you know what? I don't really like Memphis. Get me the heck out of here. I want to trade. And look at what you've given up. I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, going back to AI, I remember Lionel Hollins couldn't get rid of Iverson quick enough. It took a couple of weeks to convince the ownership, but finally Michael Heisley was convinced.
I don't even know if Iverson ever actually played a regular season game, Dave.
I think he did. I think he played in one game. JMO, look that up. I'm almost certain he played one game, and that was it. You know, the thing about Durant, I mean, Charles Barkley just came out and said he's just a miserably unhappy guy. I don't know why. You're making $50 million a year. You're playing basketball. The guy should be grateful. I don't get that. But you're 34. You're owed $200 million or just about that over the next 4 years. Who in their right mind? He's been injured a bunch. Look, he hasn't taken his team past the second round of the playoffs the last 2 years. Who in their right mind is going to pay that kind of money? And as you just said, you've got to match salary with salary cap stuff. How in the world could Brooklyn move him? I mean, they were put in a bad place, and he put them there by basically saying, if you don't trade the coach and the GM, I'm not playing for you.
Well, I applaud Brooklyn. Look, I'm a player agent, so I am all for the players 100% of the time, but I don't necessarily agree with a player leveraging a team and saying you have to choose in that respect that KD said between your GM and coach and me. So I do applaud Brooklyn by saying, okay, great. Guess what? You have a contract. You work for us. We're paying you. So we don't have to kowtow to that demand. We understand you're unhappy, but we're not just going to give you away and get nothing in return to appease you. So I think at the end of the day, Durant and his business manager / agent, Rich Kleiman, I think they just understood exactly your point, Dave. Look, the odds of us moving to another NBA Finals contender, right? Let's say Golden State again. Let's say Phoenix, Milwaukee.
I don't think Golden State would take him again, would they?
Exactly.
They don't want that headache.
Just that level of team. Like the odds of that happening and a team taking on that salary, keep in mind, those teams I mentioned, they're well over the salary cap. Some of them are in the luxury tax, like in Golden State. Milwaukee's right up against the tax. Do they really need a guy like that? Do they have the pieces to give up to intrigue Brooklyn enough to move Durant? Are they willing to be on the hook for that salary for the next few years? No, and I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think at the end of the day, Durant realized, okay, practically speaking, there's not many places that I could go that intrigue Brooklyn enough to do a deal with where they can get nice assets in return. And in return, I'm going to be happy. Look, you could sit there and go to OKC and then move all these young pieces, and that gets Brooklyn excited. Durant's not going to be happy going back there. And I'm not even just take away the fact that he was already there, but just a team like that, or Atlanta or Portland, one of these teams that are either a playoff team, but a bottom-level playoff team, or a fringe playoff team trying to kind of be on the come-up, or Detroit. I think Detroit's going to be really good in a few years. Again, like, why throw off that chemistry? And again, Durant will not be happy in those situations. To your point, guys just probably never going to be happy. So enjoy the money you're making, realize that you're under contract, make the best of the situation. Maybe there's some sort of deal where they can move Kyrie during the season. Who knows? There's just, it's funny when you join these massive superstar talent together, and in Brooklyn's case with Harden, who's obviously going to Philly now, Kyrie and KD, everyone gets so excited, but you realize they all have ego. And that is very tough to manage, more so if you are Steve Nash, a rookie head coach, a very young head coach that doesn't have a whole lot of experience being a head coach in the NBA. That is very tough to do. I know a lot of college coaches who are legendary college coaches. Obviously Pitino, John Beilein, who thought it was all just wonderful making that jump to coach an NBA locker room. And they found out pretty quickly this is vastly different from coaching 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids. Now you're coaching men who are making a lot of money. The basketball might be the same, might be at a higher level, but the egos, it's a completely different animal.
By the way, J-Mo, great job. He can find anything in seconds. Believe it or not, Allen Iverson was rostered for 6 games, and he actually played 3 games for the Grizzlies. All right, last thing, because we, as always, run out of time so quickly here. The injury to Chet Holmgren, the top pick of Oak City, the kid that played at Gonzaga, played in that Seattle Pro-Am, a charity exhibition game, and it's cost him a year. Do you think that changes in the next few years here the philosophy of NBA teams with their players and guarantees and these pickup games? Would you put new clauses in, or would teams put new clauses in to battle against this? Because now they got to pay Holmgren this first year, and they get nothing out of it.
Right. Well, look, and for OKC, Chet is the future. So I'm not losing sleep if I'm Sam Presti thinking that, oh, my gosh, we're done with Chet. Obviously, it stinks. And if you're a fan of the Thunder, it stinks not getting able to see Chet this season. But you look at the big picture. But to your point, in NBA contracts, there's something that you can negotiate in there called an Exhibit 5. It's called the Michael Jordan clause or love of the game clause that basically allows players like Chet in the offseason to participate in these sort of pro-ams. However, they must be sanctioned by the NBA. And this Seattle one is well known. It's on the list of sanctioned pro-am games by the NBA. And I say sanctioned because if it is a sanctioned game, then technically the player does not need the team's permission to go play in it. So with that being said, an injury like this, OKC cannot void his contract now, which they would never do with Chet Holmgren, because he got injured in a sanctioned game. If it was not a sanctioned game and the player did not get the club's permission to go play in it and he sustained an injury like this, the team could technically say, well, you've breached the contract. We can void your contract and not pay you anything. So I think teams moving forward and players will just be that much more wary and cautious of playing in these sort of events. I don't necessarily think it will stop players from playing, but from day one, I, as an agent, always preach to my players, if you're going to play in any sort of charity game or program over the summer, before you commit to anything, let's talk about it. Let's see if it's on the list of sanctioned games. Even if it is, let's talk to the general manager. Let's talk to your coach. So everyone's on the same page and they're all aware, so you can try and avoid any sort of controversy if, God forbid, you sustain an injury like Chet did.
He is Andy Schiffman. He's our agent from Priority Sports in Chicago. Andy, have a great weekend. We'll talk again next Friday.
You too. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Andy brought you in part by the Spirit Shop. Okay, the weekend's here for me. I am stocking up. I am making that stop right there at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact, that little log cabin right past Clark Tower. You've seen it a million times. I'm going to go get some Harkin because that's what my wife loves. I'll probably get myself, I might go spring for a Silver Oak. If they don't have that, I'd have a Caymus. They usually have both. They have great wines. They have bargain wines. They have all the wines in between. If you talk to Eddie Conner, you get an education. He might tell you like he did to me years ago. Cornerstone, which is actually from a group of Memphians that started this thing 25, 30 years ago, something like that. Great winery. When it first began, nobody knew about it. He told me about it. I bought some wines for nothing. Now they're worth a lot of money. He'll tell you about that with bourbons. He'll tell you about that with tequilas and vodkas. It's fun to go in. Time to stock up. The place to do it is at any Connor's place. That's the Spirit Shop. They got it all at Poplar and St. Nick. That does it for us. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great weekend, everyone.
I often say they've set the bar for the way cars